Anything I've sort of left out, or anything you would tell me about? What kind of advice do you have for young portrait people? They just do it? Young painters.
You have to do the work.
Yeah.
And the more you know about the history of art and the more paintings you can see in museums and study, then the better off you're going to be. I have a theory, by the way, that all artists ultimately are self-taught.
Yeah.
You've got to get down there in the weeds and do the work, and that's just all there is to that.
I think that makes a lot of sense. There's two angles to that I've noticed. When I was in Florence, I was watching some people in the Uffizi Gallery. They put up an easel and they would be copying one of the old masters. Just young people.
Yeah.
As part of their learning process, just to make, to actually try to do what those guys did. And another one was the head of the art gallery, the art school here in Toronto a few years ago. I said, "What do you do?" I forget his name now, Henry or something. When do you get a real artist? A real artist, not just someone who's going to go into graphic design and so on. What do you do with them? Like, how do you deal with them differently? There's crowds of young students, right? And he says, "You know what? I tell them to get out of here and go and paint."
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's what he told me. I thought, wow.
You just got to get out there and do it. I had a friend who was an art historian, one of these rare, brilliant people who could read and write 11 languages, and
wow.
And it wasn't all Romance languages. It was Farsi and Mandarin Chinese and such.
Wow.
And she said to me one time, I guess I was in my 20s, she said, "You have a lot of talent." And I said, "Oh shucks, who, me?" And she said, "You don't understand what I mean." And I said, "What is it?" And she said, "What I mean is that you can never get the monkey off your back.
Okay.
You'll never stop."
Yeah, that's what you said. Once you get started, and that's your life. You live in art. Yeah.
And people ask me all the time if I'm still painting, and I say, "Well, I can't do anything else."
Yes. That's what you do.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I guess another story reminds me of a friend of mine many years ago who wasn't much into art of any sort. He says, "What about if I just had an apartment or house with nothing on the walls? What about, why don't people do that?" And I said, "You know what? There's something in human beings that compels them to want to fill up an empty wall, to put something on it." That's what I think. You're just compelled to have...
Separates us from all the other animals,
Yeah. We're different. We want that space to look not just blank.
Well, I don't need to have my walls filled, but I need to have something on them that's good. That's
right on. Yeah. Something to come home to is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Something that makes us feel like, wow, this is my place. This is like, here's where I feel happy. Creates a space for me. You sure do that with your work, Jerry. I really admire it. Someday, I hope I'll be able to get to see it, directly, instead of having to watch it, like I said.
Well, it's a nice thing that we have the internet and you can at least see it on.
It's wonderful.